Okay, you rejoin me for episode 2 of my minimal NixOS series. Today we're going to take the very simplistic base install that we created in the first episode and we're going to graphical it up. Today we're going to install Gnome Desktop because I think that's probably one of the more common ones, especially for new Linux users. I hear you KD people out there. I know that KD is very good indeed. I'm an ex-user of it myself. These days I'm generally on Hyperland. I'm a big fanboy of Hyperland, but today we're going to keep it very simple and we're going to just set up GNOME. So let's see if I can remember my password from the first episode. There we go. We're all up and running there. And we're going to jump into our NixOS configuration. It's at /etc/nixos/configuration.nix. We need sudo because we need root privileges to edit this, and I'm using Helix in this case, but you could just as easily use nano or whatever else takes your fancy. So I've actually already added a few lines to this file, and I've also actually tidied it up a little bit. I've taken away most of those comments that the NixOS installer adds by default. So you can see here that I've added services xserver enable equals true. Now this is actually a bit of a misnomer. It's actually going to be Wayland that we're using, but this basically enables a graphical login. We're enabling GDM, which is the login manager or display manager for GNOME, and we're choosing GNOME as our desktop. So these options look just like this. Now note that if you're coming to this a little bit later, specifically after the release of 25.11 of NixOS, these will change and they will become services.displayManager and services.desktopmanager. The xserver part will disappear and the line about services xserver enable will disappear entirely. You won't even have that anymore. So just be aware, at the time of filming, these are the correct options, but they will change in the future. So you would go ahead and save this file, and then we're going to issue the command sudo nixos rebuild switch. And this is the standard command that you're going to issue whenever you make a configuration change and you want a new generation of your system to be generated with those changes. Now, one thing that's very important to note is by default, this command is going to use what's currently in my Nix store. That is, it's going to use the version of the Nix packages that was downloaded at the time my system was installed. If you do want it to pull the latest versions, you're going to need to supply -- upgrade. And what that's going to do is it's going to pull in the latest version of Nix packages based on the version that you've told it to make use of. We'll cover things like that in a future episode. That's a little bit more advanced when we start dealing with channels and different branches of Nix packages. So for this time, we're just going to say switch, and that's going to go ahead and evaluate our configuration and start building everything that it needs to build. Now, importantly, this is mostly going to take stuff from the NixOS cache. Nix is a source code based package management system, or source based package management system. So if you by default you would have to actually build these packages locally, but luckily NixOS does provide a binary cache, and if you're installing kind of common packages without any special build options, then you're generally going to find they're going to come from the cache, and that will greatly increase or reduce, in fact, your your time to make these changes. So I'm going to pause here, and you can rejoin me once this generation has been generated. Okay, and this is where we end up after that generation has been created. So we can list the generations. Let's see if I can remember the correct command. Yep, there we go. Sudo nixos-rebuild list-generations, and we can see here that we have a generation that we just created, generation number 3, and it's listed as the current. So all we have to do is issue the sudo reboot command, and we should, after a short delay, end up in the correct environment. And there we go. Oh, and it's complaining about disk space. We'll tell it to ignore that for now. So let's go ahead and log in. Our user account is already defined as before, and here we are, we're straight in and ready to rumble. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run the text editor that's built in here. Authentication required to perform file operations. Yep, that's fine. It's because it's opening configuration.nix, which is actually the last thing I opened in here. It remembers. So here we go. You can see these 3 lines here were all it took for us to go from a completely text-based system to a graphical one with an actual desktop. You'll also note here that I've installed a Gnome extension. This is actually just an example of how you might do that. You'll find that most common Gnome extensions are under Gnome extensions dot and in the name of the extension. I've installed Pano, which is a really nice kind of copy-paste clipboard manager, let's call it. So yeah, now that we're in our graphical environment, you could simply make edits to this file here, and then from the console in here, you could run your NixOS rebuild commands, and that's the approach that you would generally take to doing that. Something to note, this is very important on NixOS when you're using graphical environments. GNOME, of course, is very configurable from the control center and things like that. But I would suggest that you should avoid doing that as much as possible. Go and check out the NixOS official wiki. It has an article all about GNOME, and there's a section about discovering dconf settings and about setting dconf settings inside your configuration.nix, and this would be the way that you want to do it, because that will make your configuration reproducible. The worst case scenario would be that you change something manually in your control panel, and then you have to do a rollback. You're rolling back a generation in NixOS, because guess what? Those manual changes will actually be retained even when you do a rollback. So as much as possible, you should very much avoid doing that kind of thing. You want to make your settings changes all in here. Now, I hear the more experienced NixOS users crying out, "No, what are you doing? Show them the flakes, show them the home manager, show them modules." Don't worry, all of that is coming. We're only using this as a very, very minimal example, hence the name of the series. Right now, we're keeping it just very, very basic and this one text file, but I will demonstrate more advanced configurations in the future. Hope you all enjoyed that. Goodbye.